Okay, there you go. I have Dalvin Cook as RB6. We already talked about him. You have Najee as RB6. We talked about him because I have him a little bit higher. My RB7 might be a little higher than what I'm not sure where you have
where you
this
have
guy.
Javonte?
No, actually, Javonte did not make my top 12.
Me neither. I'm happy to hear that you're not pumping his ADP up any more than it needs to be.
I love him, but I have to temper expectations a little bit. It's DeAndre Swift is my RB7.
Okay. He's my RB8.
Okay, so we're close. This is simple. He averaged 18 fantasy points per game last year, and the offense got better. The offensive line is excellent. Detroit's offensive line is very good. They have a bright future. Jared Goff is a quarterback who we've seen support high-end RB1s before. He is he'll dump it off all day long. That's not a problem. DeAndre Swift is an elite pass catcher at the running back position. They get back Hawkinson. They add Jamison Williams through the draft. They add DJ Chark in free agency. Amon-Ra St. Brown emerged last year. This is a good offense. And if Jared Goff can just be adequate, they should have ample scoring opportunities this year. Their defense is still atrocious. Maybe not atrocious with, they did draft Aiden Hutchinson number 2 overall, but it's still very much a work in progress, especially the secondary. The defense is probably going to give up some points this year. The offense is going to have to keep pace. The offense is going to have to be the strength of this team. And I think they're going to be good because the pieces are in place. The only sort of question mark is quarterback. And we've talked about this before. Jared Goff is not great. I don't even know if Jared Goff is good, but he's decent enough to support high-end fantasy production because we've seen him do it before for multiple players per offense per season. I have no reason to believe DeAndre Swift can't duplicate an easy 15-plus point fantasy points per game expectation this year, and I think he's a threat to catch 90 balls. Again, this is an offense that very well could be playing from behind a lot this year if the defense is still very subpar like we expect. The average points per game is there. The offense got a little bit better. I fully expect all of the work that Amon-Ra St. Brown got to end the season last year, some of that gets funneled back to DeAndre Swift, potentially as the number 1 option in this offense in general. I like Jamal Williams as a change of pace back, but that's what he is. He's going to be a backup to DeAndre Swift. This is not a committee. This is like, I could see it, at best, it could be like when Jamal Williams was in Green Bay and Aaron Jones is still getting 65% of the work. If DeAndre Swift gets 65% of the work, he's an RB1 this year.
I have DeAndre Swift at RB8.
Okay.
So 1 spot lower. And
What's going on, Mitchell? We'll get to your...
Yeah,
we'll get
I'll
to your
get
questions
to his
shortly.
later, but we'll get to your questions in a sec. But I'm really high on DeAndre Swift.
It's gonna be good.
But I do not think. I don't know if he replicates his fantasy points per game that he had last season, moving forward. At least for 2022, so the redraft season. The reason I say that is, yes, the offense got better, so we can expect more total touchdowns. But
or at least scoring opportunities.
I think his receptions per game are going to go, targets and receptions per game is going to go down slightly. And I think in an effort to keep him healthy, yes, there just like there are reports that Najee Harris bulked up. There are reports that DeAndre Swift bulked up. I don't know if you saw the bicep thing that went around on Twitter.
Yeah, he's bulked up.
But he's bulked up too to withstand a workload in his a heavier workload in his 3rd season. But I mean, there were games where last year he was the entire offense. When Hawkinson went down and they didn't have anybody outside of Khalif Raymond and Josh Reynolds, who were cast-offs in their own right, running routes on the outside, taking targets away from DeAndre Swift. When TJ Hawkinson, even when he wasn't getting the touches that we wanted him to get as fantasy owners. We're both fantasy owners of Hawkinson. We wanted him to get more touches when we were kind of like, why isn't he getting more touches? Well, even while he was healthy, it was DeAndre Swift last season. And Amon-Ra St. Brown didn't start firing until really everybody else, including DeAndre Swift, went down. But now they're going to have to, we expect them to allocate more work for Amon-Ra St. Brown moving forward in the first place. So that's going to take away some short to intermediate targets from DeAndre Swift. And then you have upgrades in Khalif Raymond and Josh Reynolds turning into a Jameson Williams who might be one of the most electric players in the NFL, or we expect him to be within the next 3 seasons, most likely, from the wide receiver position. At least one of the most electric prospects to come out in a while. And DJ Chark on the other side, who's a reclamation project coming off an injury, who is trying to rehab his value and is at least a couple steps above Khalif Raymond and Josh Reynolds. Say what you will about DJ Chark. So all that,
he's better.
They're going to take targets away from DeAndre Swift regardless. We like running backs who are getting more targets this year, not less targets. The bulking up means that, okay, maybe he gets a little bit more work on the ground. But again, I'd rather my running backs get more targets than touches on the ground.
Oh, yeah, of course.
If he stays healthy, I think he's going to be a low-end RB1. I just don't know if he's going to be a mid-tier RB1 because of the scaled-down workload. Because like last year in 2020, his first season, 13 games, 114 rush attempts, 521 yards, 4.6 yards per carry, 46 receptions compared to the 62 he got last year, 357 yards through the air, and 10 touchdowns as opposed to the 7 last year. If he gets his receptions scaled back, scores more touchdowns due to the nature of the overall offense getting better, and has a few more rushes than the 114 if his rush attempts go up to the a little bit more than even the 151 he got last year. I still think that's a recipe for RB12, RB11. And I'm being optimistic putting in him RB8. But I can't put him up any higher than RB8, even if it's splitting hairs between who I have at RB7.
Okay. I think he can be a mid-tier RB1. I have no reason to. I mean, yes, you want to include players like Amon-Ra St. Brown more into your game plan moving forward, but I think not at the expense of a player of DeAndre Swift's caliber. Maybe I think he can catch 70 balls this year. And here's the last thing I'll say about him bulking up, because we're concerned about Najee, right, with the bulking up news. Najee Harris was already 230 pounds before bulking up. DeAndre Swift was around like 210 pounds. So this is a situation.
5'8", 212.
Okay.
Yeah.
So bulking up here for him is better, is good. Like if he's playing weight is now around that 220, 225, that's that sweet spot.
That's where Najee was, though, even though he's 3 inches taller.
Najee, I think, was like 230.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So he was okay. Yeah.
So Swift getting to that point, or maybe a little less, that's that sweet
His
spot
weight gain is more like what Chris Carson went through, which is what I alluded to yesterday, which ended up working out for him. So we do have to, there are scenarios in which a running back getting a little bit heavier in terms of bulking up is a good thing. But
like a Travis Etienne bulking up, that's
bulk,
good
even
news.
if it is the majority of it is muscle, too much will slow you down regardless. It might make you more able to handle the 400 touch workloads that a Derrick Henry gets. Maybe that's in Najee Harris's future. But
could be.
The efficiency goes down. No way to get around that.
Okay. I'm less concerned about the Swift bulk up news than Najee.
All that to say, I agree with you there.
Okay, word. Got it.
Yes.